Remix! Let's take it back to 2016. To Kovalev versus Ward. The true story. The real story. What really went down in one of the most anticipated, most hyped up fights of this era. Because, you know, we can't go all the way back to Ali, Rocky Marciano. We can't go all the way back there. But in this era, Kovalev versus Ward is in my top 5 most hyped up fights. And for me as a fan, hype is the most important factor of any fight. Not the records, not the who's undefeated, who's not undefeated, not the names, but the hype. The anticipation, the storyline. You know, kind of like WWE, I like the storyline, I like the hype, I like the matchup, I like the, you know, the trash talk, a little racism, you know what I mean? I like all that garbage. I like the trash, I like the hype, I like all that. And I gotta say, one of my most anticipated and most hyped up fights of this era, definitely in the top 5, is Kovalev versus Ward. November 19th, 2016. One day before Election Day. The controversy, the animosity, the racism. But before we get into that and tell you the true story of Kovalev versus Ward, let's talk about, in general, my top 5 most hyped up fights of this era. Not in any, not in any order. This is just how I wrote them down. Canelo versus Triple G, another super hyped up, marinated, super anticipated, super fight. McGregor versus Diaz, even though it's UFC, I put that in my list because we're talking hype. And that trash talk. He playing butt touch in the park. Touch butt in the park. That matchup, that animosity. Like I like fights where there's real hate. You know what I mean? Where it's not just competition, it's not just a sport, it's like a real fight. You know what I mean? And Ward Kovalev was a real fight. But we'll get to that in a minute, okay? We'll get to that in a minute. As I was saying, Canelo versus Triple G, McGregor versus Diaz, Thurman versus Danny Garcia. Boy, was I hyped for that fight. Not every time did my guy win. Not every time did my guy win. But just because my guy didn't win don't mean I'm not going to have it in my top 5 most hyped up fights. Let's go down the list again. Canelo versus Triple G, McGregor versus Diaz, Keith one-time Thurman, Ponytail versus Danny Garcia, undefeated versus undefeated at that time. And Kovalev versus Ward. Those are, hold up. I forgot one. I forgot one. How could I forget? I gotta put it on the list. Hold on one second. Hold on, guys. I gotta put it on the list. It's top 6. Top 6. The top 6 most hyped up fights of this era are Canelo versus Triple G, McGregor versus Nate Diaz, Keith one-time Ponytail versus Danny Garcia, Kovalev versus Ward 1. Ward versus Kovalev 2 was equally as hyped, so we had to put it on the list. And Wilder versus Fury. We almost forgot Wilder versus Fury, but that shit I was so hyped for that, boy. Not every time did my guy win. Sometimes my guy got robbed. Like when he knocked out Tyson Fury, PED abusing, boar meat eating, that super massive. I could never let it go. But we're not gonna talk about Wilder 2 and Wilder 3. We're just gonna we had to put Wilder versus Fury on the list. We had to put it on the list, son. We had to put it on the list. That's your list right here. The top 6 super fights of this era. Now, the purpose of this video is to talk about Ward versus Kovalev. In case you don't know, I've always been an Andre Ward SOG super duper fan. Always, throughout the 2-year layoff when he was dealing with that lawsuit, I was always, and every time they said he was boring, every time he said this, every time he said they fight dirty, every time he said that, I always was an Andre Ward fan. I'm still an Andre Ward fan. Undefeated, all-time great, Hall of Fame. Nobody never ever jumped off the Andre Ward bandwagon till this day. So that's why, after the 2-year layoff, 2 years of all these haters talking mad trash, because if you're a real boxing fan, you know how much trash these cretins were talking about Andre Ward throughout those 2 years. Because throughout those 2 years, you had the Triple G bandwagon, the Lomachenko bandwagon was just exploding all over the place. The Manny Pacquiao, I like Manny Pacquiao, you know, but the Manny Pacquiao, the PBC, I love PBC, you know what I mean? The Wilder, I like Wilder as well. But I mentioned that because throughout the two years that Andre Ward could not fight because of legalities, because of the lawsuit that he was going through, right? And you know Andre Ward is not really a trash talker. But every time I would come on the internet, I would see all these videos about Andre Ward is this, Andre Ward is that, Andre Ward is this, Andre Ward is that, Andre Ward can't beat this guy, Andre Ward can't beat that guy. And then when Triple G became a big hype job, you know what I mean? Because to this day, I still say Triple G's a hype job. There was that narrative of, you know, remember when Triple G said we'll fight anybody from 154 to 168? And then Andre Ward was like, what? I'm dealing with some legal issues right now, but I'll fight you. And then Tom Loeffler was like, nah, we met anybody except you. Except SOG. Anybody except you. You know what I'm saying? And then they were ducking. Because the fight that they were trying to make first for his comeback was Andre Ward against Gennady Golovkin. And then HBO was like, we're trying to milk the cow. We're still trying to milk the cow of Triple G, and we don't want to get him beat. So they tried. Then they tried to push Andre Ward, which was a 168 champion, to go fight 175-pound super monster, knocking everybody out, Sergey Kovalev, right? And they kept pushing him into that, and they only gave him one stay busy in between. And Andre Ward coming back, wanted to make a payday, had no other option but to step up from 168 to 175 after a 2-year layoff, have a one stay busy, and get in there with Kovalev. And what did Andre Ward say? He said, no problemo, no problem. I'm the champ, I'm coming back, and I'll fight this guy at 175 no catch weight. You know what I'm saying? And then, when the fight was made, the animosity, the hate, the racism just got so bad online. If you're a real boxing fan and you remember those times, that shit was, it's crazy how that was like in 2016. It's 2026 now. That's 10 years ago. That's how you know how I know all these details. I'm a real boxing fan, right? If you were around back then, you know how crazy that shit was. That was kind of like on par with the whole Manny Pacquiao Mayweather. The hate online, the animosity, the debates were crazy back then for the Kovalev Ward, right? So, and then the controversy in the second round. He gets clipped with a flash knockdown Virgil hyped him up in the corner. He said, Ali got knocked down. Robinson got knocked down. You got knocked down. Go win back. Go get back in there. Go win every round. And that's exactly what Andre Ward did. He got right back in there and won every single round. November 19th, 2016. One day before election day, because the elections in America are November 20th every year, every 4 years, right? One day before Trump totally demolished Hillary and sent her packing. That must have been, I remember that weekend, that must have been one of the best weekends in, one of the best weeks of my life. Andre Ward gets dropped, gets back up, and then completely schools Sergey Kovalev to the body because he figured out that Sergey Kovalev could not fight on the inside. Chips him up, breaks him down, and wins a close decision, 114, 113, and all the haters were talking about robbery, and the hate just continued and continued and continued. And then we had a rematch. Ward Kovalev. But, in case you want to hear it from the horse's mouth, here is the true story of Kovalev versus Ward. Check out this video. I'm going to leave the link in the description. It's Ward explaining the true story of everything that led up to that fight. And there's no better guy to tell you the true story. You know what I mean? I know the whole true story because I followed them, right? But I'm going to leave the link below. Check out this video. It's fire. There's a lot of little details that only the fighter would know, right? But let me tell you, till this day, this is always going to be one of my favorite fights ever. Not just because of the fight itself, which was great, right? And the rematch. Boom! Body shots. Broke that Russian's body down. They said it was a low blow. The first one they said it was a robbery. The second one they said it was a low blow. It's a fight. He beat the shit out this Russian. I never ever liked these Russians. Like, in case you don't know. I've always been a hater. I'm a hater for life. I was never a fan of Lomachenko. That's why I love when Teofimo beat that ass. I was never a fan of Triple G. I built my channel on hating these Russians. That's how I started my channel. Because I came in around that time of 2015, 2016, around the Mayweather-Pacquiao thing. And then around that same time was the super Russian hype of Triple G, Lomachenko, and Kovalev. These Russians were just knocking everybody out, schooling everybody. And I'm like, I don't like Russians. So I built my channel on that hate. You know what I'm saying? Because I really did not like these guys. So when I heard about the whole war, and I'm a war fan. So when I heard that Kovalev was a top 3 fighter at that time, I'm not taking nothing away from him. I just didn't like them. You know what I mean? I was always hating on Triple G. I'm like, oh, first, before they even spoke about Canelo, because Canelo was at 154, and Triple G was always at 160. The first guy that they spoke about was Andre Ward against Triple G, and then that was like a beef. And that's when I was like, oh, I'm jumping on this hate bandwagon. I'm about to hate on these niggas. Every other day I would make a Triple G hating video. Every other day I would make a Lomachenko hating video. And back then it was Lomachenko against Rigondeaux. That was like the big fight that everybody was talking about. And, you know, my guy Rigondeaux was just too small and got his ass whooped, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, that's what people were talking about. They were talking about Wilder and Fury, Loma and Rigondeaux, and Ward and Triple G. But then when everybody realized that Triple G was ducking and was a total hype job, just wanted to fight pies, then they started talking about Ward, the next guy up, Kovalev, an even bigger, stronger Russian. You know what I mean? They were trying to get Andre Ward out the game. You know what I mean? And anybody saw that. You know what I mean? Except the haters. The haters, you know the haters. But the fans of Andre Ward saw that they were trying to get this guy, catch this guy cold of a 2-year layoff because he hasn't fought in like 2 years and try to get him out of there. You know what I'm saying? They didn't want to give him the Triple G fight because they knew that Andre Ward was going to school and possibly stop Triple G. You know what I mean? So they were like, let's give him the bigger guy, the stronger guy, Kovalev. You know what I mean? And they were trying to get him out of there. And we're like, no, we're not having none of that. Ward is going to go up to 175 and you'll see he's going to whoop this Russian. Hold up. Let me calm down. I'm going back into that mode of I used to get crazy, man. I used to make crazy hate videos. I used to get real crazy. I'm sorry. But I'm going to leave the link below so you can hear the true story of Kovalev versus Ward, the leading up, and a lot of little details that I knew, but a lot of little details that I didn't know because, it's like the true story coming from Andre Ward. I always told them that Sergey Kovalev was a hype job, you know what I mean, that this nigga was a drunk, and that he was going to get stopped. He didn't get stopped in the first one, but you know what I mean. He got stopped in the second one, and I really don't give a fuck if it was a low blow or not low blow. He got torn up in the second one because Andre Ward already figured him out after the second round when he dropped him with that flash knockdown. He was like, I gotta cut the space on this guy. This guy's punches are only effective from long range. So Andre Ward in the third round started cutting the space. The range, you know what I mean? He was like, I'm gonna fight this guy mid-range and in the inside, and he don't got no mid-range and he don't got no inside. And that's exactly what he did in the second fight from round number 1. Cut the range, don't let him extend all the way and break him down to the body. He broke him down to the body and then stopped him. And this video is over. And this is one of my favorite fights. It's always gonna be one of my favorite fights because of the hype. Because of the storyline, because these two guys really hated each other. You know what I mean? Like Thurman versus Garcia, I was so hyped for that too, because they were undefeated at the time, and they were like the hottest 147 pounders at that time. You know what I mean? And PBC put that shit on CBS for free. 5 million views till this day, whether it's pay-per-view for free or stream it on the Zone, on the Top Rank, on PPC, on anywhere. No, in UK, in Mexico, on March, nobody has beaten that Thurman Garcia. A lot of boxing fans don't know that. No, in this era, because we're not going to go back to Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson in 1985, you know what I mean? But in this era, nobody has beaten that 5 million views from Thurman versus Garcia. A lot of people don't know that. You know what I mean? They'll say, oh, well, because it was free. Yeah, well, there's lots of free fights on the Zone. You know what I mean? There's lots of free fights before and after. You know what I mean? And none of them have done 5 million views. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson did like 140 million views on, and it was free. So if we're gonna say free, except for Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, but that's not even a real fight. That's like, whatever. You know what I mean? In real boxing, nobody has beaten Thurman versus Garcia. 5 million views for free on CBS. Well, I'm kind of a little hyped up already. I'm going to take a little break, and I'm going to leave the link below. Go check out that video by Andre Ward on Andre Ward's channel, All the Smoke Podcast, where he gives you the whole story. I didn't even know Andre Ward was getting liquid taken out of his knee the night of the fight, because this guy had knee problems throughout the whole camp. But when you got a trainer like Virgil, when you got the SOG super skills, ain't no Russian gonna stop you. You know what I mean? Let me stop. Check out that video. The link is below. Peace.